Christmas time. And so we just stay home, you know. And my parents did the same thing. You know, we didn't, when Easter time came, my mom would go to school and just be like, my children don't do that. You know, like, hey, mom, why you gotta do that? We'll let them know. And so, you know, I'm not a confrontational guy until I get there. You know, I try and be at peace with everybody, but you know, when you rattle me, I got two modes. I'm either real cool and it takes me long to get, but when I get there, I lash out. But my wife, on the other hand, she's zealous. She gonna go off. You know, my daughter had got in trouble. We ready? My daughter had got in trouble at school, and I thought the cop had kind of pushed the envelope. I don't know what address, because I know all the cops. So I was like, no, I'll talk to them behind the scenes. And I was like, She provided that school and gave them those business hours. So the next year, what I did, I took my kids out of that school. I was like, you already put a target on my back. You already know that. So I put them in a charter school. They've been doing very well at that school. Very well. All right. So sometimes we gotta protect our children. Are the other children going to come in, or Thomas is going to keep them? That's fine if they are. I just want to go ahead and start. So we have the Feast of Dedication. A lot of times when you see the Feast of Dedication, you'll see a menorah that has maybe 9 candlesticks. Right? There's stories why that came to be. But of course there was an 8-day feast. So that was something that was added later on, that they made an 8 candle. One in the middle spoke of how in the fullness of lighting the 8, that one candle would light them all. And so that's just kind of traditional things that we put in that may not have scriptural value. But I don't want to handcuff us when we want to commemorate something. We have a liberty to do things that may not be in the text. But because the Feast Dedication was not a feast. But because of what happened, they commemorated a day like one of the days, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. We'll see that. That's what Feast Dedication resembles. It resembles something like the Feast of Tabernacles, which is also an 8-day feast. All right? It didn't turn. Oh, there it is. So the Feast Dedication is all about what? Revival and renewal. I think many of us throughout the week, you go all week, you're schooling, you're teaching, you're working, and then you get to that Shabbat, and it's a time to just reset, to refresh, to rest. When we look at Nehemiah 4, when he was rebuilding the walls, it was kind of like a restoration. And it was such a powerful restoration that when Judas Maccabees commemorates the Feast of Dedication, he said, remember Nehemiah and what they did. And when you read Nehemiah 4, you see how Nehemiah went through challenges when there were brothers of his that were antagonizing and rebuilding the walls. What we're doing right now in the Hebrew Israelite movement is that we're rebuilding our faith and our commitment. We're restoring things that have been lost. All right? There's a lot of things that we, throughout Christianity, that we teetered on a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know, it was good. It was like a vehicle that had just enough gas to get you to this point. Mm-hmm. Now the Most High is shifting us into another vehicle, which is the right way, the righteous way that he's calling us to, back to his covenant. And so when we talk about revival and renewal, I just put out 4 points. We want our spirits and our soul and our bodies to be renewed. All right? Prayer, intercession, things that we do to revitalize us, reading the words, whatever you got to rest. Do whatever you got to do to recuperate so that you can be a meal offering for the rest of the week. Right. To be salt in the earth, right? Another thing we're going to renew is what? Our purpose. How many of you know what your purpose is? What the Most High has put in you to be salt in the earth. What it is. Like, I understand my gifts and my talents. I know what I'm good at. I know the uniqueness about myself. Every one of us under the sound of my voice have to understand what it is that's in you that's going to be the agent of change when you walk around people. Right. It's not enough just to be for yourself. But when you go out on your job or wherever you go in the marketplace, you want to make sure that you're releasing something that people can be changed. That's your purpose. So every now and then, at this point in time, what we want to be able to do for the Feast Dedication is what? To revive our purpose. To refine it. Make it better. Take self-inventory of ourselves and say, man, am I doing all that I can? Right? Another thing, what? Is our gifts and our talents. Talking about that. How many know what your gifts are? I'm gifted to play the piano. I didn't even take lessons. I just heard my dad play, and my dad had a piano in the house, and when he would play, I would mimic what he played. If I heard jingles on the commercials, I would get on my piano, and I would play the jingle. My mom said, boy, you got a talent. You got to give. Ain't nobody taught you that. So then she put me in lessons, and then I kind of went on. But most of us, and my mother-in-law, she here, we just play by ear. We can sit in a service and just somebody can start singing, and man, whether we not know all the song, we can figure our way out through the song and just, well, how you knew she was going to go there? I don't know, I felt it. I just knew she was going to hit that note and I went there. You know, and so that's a gift, or whatever it is, something that you don't have to work at. You just have this instantaneous ability to just acquire it, and like, man, those are gifts that come from the Most High. Talented people can just, you know, see something that you're good at and say, you know what, let me try that. And that's what basketball was to me. I don't think I was supposed to go to the NBA. In my head, I thought I was, because I was good. I crossed somebody up, and if I saw something, I could mimic it real quick. People say, yeah, you're a talented young man. Right? So those are your gifts and your talents. So we have to make sure that our kids find out what their gifts are. Because they'll go throughout life trying to simulate everybody. They trying to be cool. They trying to wear their pants sagged, and they don't know what it is. But when you give them a gift and you give them a talent, my kids love music. My youngest was Ezra. He would sneak outside in the garage and put his own drum set. I'll take it apart. If I go in there, Ezra don't put it back together. He's sitting there trying to bang on. He don't put a book up to replace the one that's broken. Now he's banging on the book. But that's what he loves to do. So we got to make sure we find out what our kids love and invest in it. All right, family, invest in your children. All right, another thing we want to renew is what? Our relationship, husband and wives, our parents, whatever. I know this is a tough transition for me. You know, like I'll see my parents and you know, hey, everything good, love, 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 and then you know, my wife would say, you heard something? I'm like, what was that? Your mama said. I'm like, she didn't tell me that. I didn't know she felt like that, you know? And so you kind of find yourself trying to, you know, you don't want to be disrespectful, you don't want to be cold-shouldered, but this is, man, I'm telling you, this is a tough transition. Everything that I know about the Bible came out of church. I'm serious. Now, I wasn't part of that church. Some of y'all probably went to. I don't know wherever church you went to. But we was a Bible-believing church. Everybody thought that our church was a cult because we kept certain things. Jason can probably tell you, he's like, all y'all do is sing and do praise and worship. Y'all some old weak jokers.
Want to pray to everybody.
They want to pray with everybody. You know? Jason, he rough. He walk in on the street, block with all the brothers, and he'll jump out the truck and they say, hey man, y'all want this work? And you get out and sit down in front of a whole bunch of brothers. They like, what you mean, cuz? What you trying to say? But he has a way of just interacting with what we would call, you know, stern brothers, and he could just vibe with them, you know. And so for me, on the other hand, I found my way around that. I know that approach, but you know, we just want to make sure that husbands and wives that you fortify our marriages. So hint to the Meadows, they've been asking to rededicate their vows, renew their vows. You know, and so today we're going to do that for them. You know, and so I thought it was very appropriate. You know, my wife was like, "When are you going to do it? You need to do it today." So I ain't got all my material to do it. I ain't got my book and everything. And she was like, you know, and then the Ruach said, "For such a time as this, this is an appropriate time for the feast dedication to renew vows." We'll do that before we end. All right. So give you a backdrop. Leading up to the feast dedication, you got to understand how the children of Israel were in and out of captivity. Daniel, under the captivity of Babylon, is very instrumental in how the Most High used them and pushed them up into a high place. Even now, even in America, we as a people have found ways, no matter what it was, through our gifts and our talents, to get in key places. Whether we use it for righteousness, some kind of way, Judah has always been able to have his neck on his adversary. Whether that's LeBron James or Michael Jordan, whatever these guys are, we know who they are. But they found a way to become great men. Despite coming through this transatlantic slave trade, not being able to integrate, all the things that our ancestors kind of dealt with, but then some kind of way our gifts and our talents have propelled us on a national stage. When we look at even when Christianity and churches begin to grow, you know, evangelical, predominantly all white churches were thriving for years in America. Then you had a blind, there was a guy, he was blind in one eye, William Seymour. He was a slave. And he begins to start a revival in California called Azusa. That was Azusa Street, the breakout. I don't know if anybody know about that. But he was a black guy, and the power of God came on this movement in such a way that people from all over the world were coming to his assemblies and were being transformed by the power of the Most High. And so some kind of way in our places of challenge and when we're in a destitute place, we found a way to just emerge. The Most High has his hand on us some kind of way, even in our oppression. So the children of Israel has always had these moments where they will be in covenant, they get in a good place, and then they'll begin to practice paganistic ways. And the way the Most High would deal with them, he was like, I'm going to bring a nation from afar to just bust you over the head for a little bit. Then they'll cry out, and then he'll raise them up, and then they'll be back on top. And then what they'll do again, they go back into paganistic ways. This was the story of Israel, back and forth. And so Daniel gets a vision, and we're going to read it real quick. Daniel 2, chapter 31-35, chapter 2, verses 31-35 says, "O thou king sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible." Right? This image head was of what? Fine gold. His breast and his arms of what? Silver. His belly and thighs of brass. His legs of iron. His feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone, the image upon the stone which without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, were the iron and the clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron and the clay, the brass and the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. Now many will say that that stone that was cut out without hands, and I agree with this, was Yahshua HaMashiach. All right, but how do they know he's coming again? Amen. So although sometimes prophecy will reveal itself, it also it has a fullness revealing that we have yet to see. Right. So that stone is actually going to come back again to finish what is left of what? The feet. Right. We're going to find out who these feet are, because these feet is a mixture of what? Iron and clay. Mm-hmm. This part of the head speaks of what? Babylon. There were 7 captivities. And what was the first captivity? The Babylon captivity. We know they talk about Egypt, but Egypt was before Daniel. So we have what? We got Babylon. Then we go next, which is the gold. Then we go to what? The Medes and Persia. All right, which is the brass, which is the silver. And then you go down here, you have Greece. This is where we want to talk about today. The Greco-Roman period. Then you have what? You have iron, which is Rome. Then you have what? The clay. All right, Rome and Greece is mixed in with this guy right here. All right, and so Europe spread it through colonization. Europe went all over the world and made this impact on all the nations. And why, when you understand anything about Esau, the brother of Jacob, what did Esau do? He mixed himself among all the nations. So a lot of people say, well, Esau the white man. Esau the black man too. Esau could be many things, but there's a prophecy about how Esau would rule. And how does Esau rule? Scripture say he rules with the sword. War. Weapons. When you see all these nations that's big on arms and weapons and nuclear, all these nuclear arms race. These are the seeds of Esau. He's mixed himself. And he's revealing himself through his ability to overt his authority and try and take over the covenant. Because he gave it away, right? Right. All right, and so when we look at Israel's captivities, you can go to Hosea 5 for somebody. Well, we'll go there. You guys can write that down and read it for yourself. But if you want to look at where these captivities took place in the scriptures, you can find them in Exodus 1 for Egypt, Assyrian, 2 Kings, Babylon, Daniel 1, Medes and Persia. Right here, all these scriptures right here, you can take pictures of them. I'll let you. And one thing I want to talk about with Daniel, because Daniel gives us the revelation of what would happen and how things would begin to matriculate in history, prophetically. And for children, what you can understand about Daniel, for y'all young people, Daniel, when they were taken into captivity, Daniel was about you all's age. He wasn't an old guy. He was a young man that came into the kingdom. And he had some brothers that went with him, which were the 3 Hebrew boys. I'm going to try their Hebrew names. He had somebody give it to me. Oh my God, I don't want to say Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No, but Babylon, that bad nigga. Okay, bad nigga. But I don't want to use their Babylonian names. I would rather use say Ananias, Mishael. Who was it? Mishael. Who was it? And Azariah. All right, and these guys were in a nation that was not theirs, and when the nation took these kids, they put some work on the nation. Like they desecrated their families. These kids had to watch things that probably our children saw coming out of the transatlantic slave trade on those boats and what were happening. I showed my daughter Amistad, just that first clip. She walked out in tears. She couldn't even finish it. She was 10 years old. She was like, I can't watch it. But that's the realness of what took place. And so the children of Israel would see that type of detriment all the time when they were outside of covenant. Like today, we're seeing what? A lot of things happening on videos, and we're not getting the justice for it. It's not to point out a black or white thing. It is what it is. It's just our curse because what? We're outside of the covenant. The Most High said that he would rejoice over our redemption, but guess what? He also going to rejoice over. He's going to rejoice over our destruction. Right. So we got to take our eyes off of where the police are doing this and the government systems, and okay, those things are. And the Most High don't judge those systems. That's not your responsibility. While you seeing all this happening to us, we need to be strengthening in our families, trying to get our people back into covenant. Don't worry about the enemy. You don't have no power to take the enemy anyway.
No way. Yep.
My little guns that I got, they know I got them. It ain't no match for what the government want to do if they want to come take them. Mm-hmm. My only defense going to be who? The Most High.
Yes.
That's it. I say that proudly on the camera.
That's right.
All right, we're not trying to raise up an army to fight. That's what Barabbas did.
Right.
See, when Yahshua was crucified, Israel was looking for someone that was going to come and fight. Right. So when they gave him the opportunity, do you want Mashiach or do you want Barabbas? What the children of Israel said? Right. Give us a warrior. Give us somebody that's going to come and fight. And today, what we see among a lot of blacks, they want that fighting mentality to go out and fight the system. We'll lose. Don't do it. Right. What happened to Barabbas? They didn't amount to nothing. What happened to us in 70 AD when the Zealots and the Zachari group wanted to get up and fight the Romans? The prophecy had already been said. Y'all going into captivity. Well, they tried to fight anyway. What happened? They lost. The city was destroyed. The children were left destitute. And it was so bad, the famine and the diaspora was so bad that it was said that the mothers were eating their children. Those were the antiquities of Josephus. If you read Josephus' story, it was so bad when they were trying to escape because they didn't serve the king. It was one, and actually it's a scripture where it says, well, the prophet, I think it was, I can't remember what the prophet was, he told the people that the prophet, the word of the Most High was that they were to serve the king of Babylon. And then you had a group say, we ain't serve, we gonna fight. And they went up and fight, and what happened? They got destroyed. We need to enjoy this moment. We in Babylon, it is what it is. The only thing we can do is just teach our people to return back to the covenant.
Yes.
That's it.
Like the Maccabees.
Like the Maccabees. You'll see. All right, now as we talked about the bronze. This is the bronze guy. He kind of looked like Troy. What was the guy on Troy? Brad Pitt. He looked like Brad Pitt was a bad joke in Troy. Yeah. Troy, the big giant came out and they called for Achilles and he was nowhere to be found. And when they got Achilles, killed that giant. I said, but that's just how King David was. They took our story and they made it their own. All right, but Alexander the Great, we know the story. Many of you all in high school probably read about Alexander the Great. You know, what he was able to do. He conquered the whole world. He was right. I think, was he before Genghis? He was after Genghis Khan? He was after Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was another one that took over the whole world. Then, Alexander the Great comes in. He smashed Genghis Khan in the group. And now here he is. And so the king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedon, I'm going to show you a map. You're going to see how this ties. We're going to go through this. This is going to be good, guys. The kingdom of Macedon and the member of the Argean dynasty. He was born in Pella in 356 BC, which is 356 years before Christ come on the scene. This guy's running around, right? And his father, that was Philip II, and at the age of 20, he took over the empire. Young man, taking over the entire empire. Very zealous guy. All right, so we look at Macedon. Where do we see it at? See, way over here. I got this thing, I don't know how to work. We got over here. We see Israel is over, right over here. This is what Israel is. We talk about the Gaza Strip, all that war be going on in the Gaza Strip. This is what Israel is. Egypt is over here. And if you look at this, these are the places that Alexander the Great conquered. All this other stuff right here wasn't really that much developed that out here as it is today. But these was the biggest places where commerce and everything, economy was going down right here in these areas. And Alexander the Great took over all this right here. So I want you to look at Phrygia and Athens and Damascus and Babylon and Egypt and Parthia. I want you to look at this stuff now, because we're going to tie this in real quick. Because when we look at the children of Israel, we're going to find out how they became Gentiles.
Come on. That's right.
The Greek captivity made the children of Israel Gentiles.
Right.
So when we get to Paul's letters and we see that he's been called to the Gentiles, he's not really talking about non-ethnic Israel. He's talking about Israel who became what? Gentiles. Because out of every captivity, the children of Israel, some of them didn't return back into the land. They just stayed in Babylon. They just stayed in Greece. They just stayed in these lands. Some of them had solidarity in their faith and just stayed in the land that they were captive. They kept the covenant, but they stayed in these lands. All right? So once Alexander the Great dies, matter of fact, go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 if someone has it. I have it on my phone. You can just read the first 6 verses. It'll tell you how this wicked root came in. We got a wicked root right now in the office. They can't impeach him. They're not going to impeach him. You know, although somebody may like it to be. Y'all know how Congress works. No, you got to be like, Satan's going to hold me down.
You said first chapter?
That first Maccabees chapter. First chapter.
All right. Maccabees, first chapter. Verse 1. And it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians, and Madai, that he reigned in his stead.
So Alexander the Great destroys the Persians who had the children of Israel, right?
Right.
So he destroys he destroys the silver, and now the bronze is taken over. The brass. Go ahead and read.
That he reigned in his stead, the first over Yavon, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. And he went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, so much so that the earth was quiet before him.
Wow.
Whereupon he exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. Keep going.
Yeah, read last 7.
So Alexander reigned 12 years, then died.
So we see Alexander the Great, got a little recount of what he did. As he dies, he doesn't give his royalty to his children, because it's been said that Alexander the Great didn't have children. Alexander the Great was kind of crazy. He did it all. He withheld himself from nothing. That's what they said. You know. So you get the story. He didn't just like women.
I like boys.
He liked men too. He liked the boys. He withheld himself from nothing. Yeah. All right. So in the end of his days, he dies and he brings some friends over there real close to him, and he parts his land to these guys. One of the guys he gives it to is this guy right here, Antiochus Epiphanes. This dude was wicked. All right. Matter of fact, go to 1 Maccabees and go to verse 11. I have it. Matter of fact, I have it right here. It says, and there came out of them a wicked root. This is verse 10. Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. And he reigned in 137 year of the king of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. The children of Israel said, let us make a covenant with the heathens that are around us. Right now, when the 501c3 initiative came into effect, many churches signed an agreement with the government. And when they signed that agreement, they were getting benefits from the government. But one of the things they couldn't do was there were certain topics in your church that you are not allowed to speak on. Not allowed to address homosexuality, not allowed to address abortion, not allowed to really talk about political issues. You got to stick to the agenda that they want you to stick to. So it's kind of like that's what happened with the church began to lose its role in community and society because they wanted to be big. They wanted to have big edifices. They wanted to have all the nice things. They want to have a center for the sick. They want to have a center for all these things and no center for teaching. It's a center for entertainment. That's what happened to our churches. All right? And so we'll read down to verse 15, and it says, in those days, wicked men made a covenant with the heathen. Verse 12, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Hey, quick side note, just on that verse alone, if you notice that Israel couldn't even just do what the heathens did. They had to get permission to do what the heathens did. That's why the heathens gave them license. Like, they couldn't just go and jump in the gladiator ring. Oh, you Israel, you ain't supposed to do that. Like, you had to get permission. That's why they got license to be able to do what the heathens did.
Correct.
And it's the same layout today. You want to be over a large theological church, you got to go to their ministerial seminarial teaching. You can't get ordained until you go through there. Otherwise you're not qualified.
Crazy.
And please feel free to comment. Feel free to ask questions. Just have to listen to me just talk. Feel free to jump in anytime. All right? And they made themselves, now listen to this. So they got license to do what the heathen did, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised. Right. And forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Now these are the children of Israel. This is what they did. Ain't nobody made them. They just was adamant about doing these things. There's a lot of times when I'm on Facebook and I'm trying to give out information, I get family members like, one brother was like, man, should I celebrate Christmas? He can go to the 7-day Adventist church. Should I celebrate Christmas? And then one of the guys was like, man, put that tree up. And so I just kind of threw a couple of scriptures out, and thus began a whole argument about trying to substantiate white Christmas, and you can do what you want to do as long as you got Jesus is the reason for the season. There's all these quotes have no scripture base. And so anytime I deal with my family, I know I gotta see them again. So I can't just be a 1-2 hitter, quit and knock them out. I gotta kind of like, all right, I'll see you on the next one. But I got a friend of mine. He wasn't like me. He dropped a few words, them words, you know what I mean. But you put that tree up, but he had a word. Put that tree up. I said, okay. Oh boy, got him now. All right. And so but even now, like a lot of times when we, like on my job, for the first time, for a long time, we never decorated our facilities. Not because if I'm the director, I wasn't going to put nothing up. I wasn't going to, it ain't nothing getting picked up, nothing getting put up in our facility. But, as we hire people, this go around, come on, boy, it's the season at my job, and so you can kind of just see where, a lot of times, like right now, being where I am, it's like you will like whether you want to be it or not sometimes. Because sometimes they're like, well, Mr. What you think? Well, some people are like, Mr. Lewis don't celebrate that. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, you carry on. But this is kind of like what we're in. We're in the same situation that Judah Maccabeus was. And we've been in this situation for a long time, and we've been in it for so long that our chief men who knew probably about these historical things that were being pushed on us, well, they killed them. When the transatlantic slave trade happened, and you had devout men that had knowledge of the customs and the histories of what they upheld to, they would kill those men immediately. And then they would separate the wise and those who were ignorant. They would separate, and then they would raise the ignorant. And what the ignorant would do, they would learn the ways of their master. That's what happened. Until you have children after child after child after child, so obscured from their culture that Christmas and all these holidays become what? Just what we do. You don't have the background. They have no evil heart about it. That's all they know. And that's kind of what's happened over the years. And so now meet and then to have these experiences. Like when I see families and they do Christmas, and, I mean, I got friends of mine that are good people. They love the Lord, and they teachers, they're pastors. And Dr. Kenneth Howard had a good post. I reposted it. And he just kind of talked about how you find people under Christianity who are heartfelt are right. They're really trying to do what's in them. They have the books out, and they got a little Greek and Hebrew. But by the time they lay it out, it don't mean what they said to me. It just means something totally else. It's always going to be about money when they're done. See, that means $1,000. Sow a seed.
Right.
How did you get that out of that? How did you get that out of that? 333 sold 330. That's what. Okay, gone. Right, and so so now like in the Hebrew awakening, you're kind of like you're challenging everything. I'm challenging Sunday. I've had a long discussion with elders and pastors about what commandment says. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. What does that mean? But Jesus is the Sabbath. And as long as you got Jesus, you got the Sabbath. That ain't what that's saying. That's what that's saying. Right? And every day the Lord's day. You just got to get, and so you're trying to get them out of that mindset, but that's the constructs of theological things that's been in our society for a long time. Anytime you go to a religious school, you're going to learn that narrative. That's what they're going to give you. And so, listen to Brother Antoine share about a testimony. What the thing was for him was detaching himself out of a ministry that he was very involved in. And this is the beautiful thing about this. People who leave in church, it ain't peons. If I could use that word. Some people leave church, they really ain't do nothing in church anyway. They just run, I'm Hebrew now, you ain't doing nothing. But most of the people who are leaving, like, they carry weight in ministry. Out there, I don't know if people understand what his role is. Brother Benjamin, we're worship leaders. My father is the pastor. That's my father. Like, he raised us up. It's tough. And we grew up in this neighborhood, so when people kind of hear about what's going on, what did happen out there? Yeah. They lost their mind. So it's just like and I see my uncles, and this is my home, like all my family is here. My mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family. Everybody knows me. Like when I go, I tell the testimony, because I got guests here, and I've said this before to you all. If I walk into a school event and somebody see me, I just can't believe you. So that's kind of the challenge, right? Yep. So if you look at what happened, they ran something. They just desecrated the temple. Temple got desecrated. If anybody understand about the temple, it was Solomon's temple, and it was beautiful, and all the furniture was in there. Right. And the priests were very meticulous about how you handle the tabernacle. Right. Well, Epiphany didn't care nothing about that. He went in there and just tore the temple apart. And they were killing the Jews. They were killing them. And also, we talked about this. If you can write these scriptures down and read them for yourself, they're gruesome accounts. But the men and women were raped. All right, now we move a little forward. When we get into this season, I'm not going to deal with Christmas because many of y'all probably done your study on it. You kind of know it. But Christmas predates Christ.
Can I get that last slide real quick?
The so-called Christmas celebration predates Yahshua by thousands of years.
I got it.
They ain't talking about it happened when Constantine came. Now, this whole celebration has been around since Nimrod and Tammuz in the beginning of time in Genesis. All right? And so what's happened is that the church, as we call it, is trying to carry the presence of the Most High on a new cart. Kind of like what David did. David tried to carry the glory of the Most High on a new cart. We didn't have to worry about these men carrying the rules that the animals carried. Right? What happened? They caused a breach. A man tried to help carry the ark, got killed. So what's happening to us right now? We're getting killed. There's no glory in the church anymore. It's not there. You got to do every trick in the book to try to keep people happy and keep motivated. They got smoke coming out with the praise coming out. Smoke coming out. They got the lights flickering and. What's next? What you gonna do now? Bounce house and then when you do worship? All right, so we look at Christmas is called by three names. It could be Christmas, it could be what? Saturnalia, and then the winter solstice. Alright? We know the famous Jeremiah 10, everybody knows it. Learn not the ways of the desperate. Alright? But if you look at Christmas, these are all the gods that were supposedly born on December 25th.
During the winter solstice, yeah.
These are all the gods right here. Look at him. Look at this guy right here. Well, he's a kid, boy. Jesus. Jesus knows he did something. But just take a look at that. Just look at this. Buddha, Krishna, all these guys were born when? December 25th. Take a picture, Go back and do the history check. A lot of times, I found this picture on the history website, History Channel website.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, they did a whole show on it one day.
You know, if Smithsonian, National Geographic, and History tell you, then hey. I don't trust them either, but if they, I trust them on this one. You got it right. You know, is there a roll clock? Roll twice a day.
And Byron, there were different men that came that looked like that guy, Caesarea Borgia. So that, I mean, it's not like they just waited and said, okay, just to confuse the people of the book, we're gonna reassign a face to this Yeshua. There's a documentary, I think Josh did it, the Great White Brotherhood, and it has all, like, the seminaries were founded by Masons, and then it has this guy that keeps popping up in these visions and these people, and it's the same image that looks like Caesarea Borgia from way back when.
Everybody know that picture then in somebody's house. My grandma had a picture right there. Had that dude sitting there with blue eyes. Like, man, Jesus, man. Going to how I walk by. That thing hit me hard. You know, well, they got me good.
Bamboozled.
And if you understand anything about the Greek captivity, what they did with all the art that the children of Israel had, they changed the images to look like them. So this was way before Christ comes on the scene. These Greeks were already taking Jewish art, the Yahudim art, and making it their own, and painting the semblances of their gods and how their people look.
Yep.
So that's how that stuff began to come along. So this stuff isn't happening for almost 3,000 years. They've been changing the history narrative.
You know,
Go ahead, Derek.
oh, sorry. You know, the ironic thing about not only are these pagan deities born on this day, but the worst thing to happen to Israel was done on this exact day. The abomination of desolation.
Yeah, right. It was. Daniel prophesied about that.
Yep.
How the temple will be ransacked and destroyed, and they be offering swine's flesh. And if you go into Maccabees, the first book and the second book, you get that account. All right. So the history of a pagan tradition. All right, Saturnalia, the ancient Roman festival of Saturn in December, which was a period of merrymaking and was the predecessor to Christmas. So when they would get together for Saturnalia, it wasn't nothing but showtime. When I say showtime, y'all see that that's what was going on. And on that particular day, slaves and citizens had the same privileges.
Yep.
So they allowed what? Who were the slaves during that time?
Israel.
So what was Israel doing? They were partaking in all this debauchery and whoredom going on. And they would do that for the winter solstice time. All right. So then you get Aurelian. This is a guy. He was a historian, and he became an emperor. He had a lot of knowledge and wisdom. And this is what he says. You know, he says the Roman emperor Aurelian strengthened the position of the sun god Sol Invictus as the main divinity of the Roman pantheon. Excuse me. His intention was to give to all the peoples of the empire, civilian or soldier, Easterners or Westerners, a single God they could believe in without betraying their own gods. So they just mixed everything in so that even though you might say, I'm a Christian, what we say today, you're actually practicing the customs of the heathen. But you feel like you're doing what? You're worshiping the Most High.
Wow.
Wicked.
Wow.
That's what we're doing today. We'll argue it. It's to the Most High. The Most High already gave us how we ought to approach it.
Amen.
You don't have to make it up. He told Moses, see that you do it after the pattern that I've shown you in the mountain.
That's good.
But what we've done is we think that we can offer what we want, kind of like what Cain did. Cain knew what was the right thing to offer, but he said, "I'm gonna offer the fruits of my hand, what I created, what I did. I worked hard. I'm gonna give you what I done did. Most I already made animals. You give me what I already been giving you.
Come on now.
Give me a living sacrifice, not a dead sacrifice.
Yes. Right.
Many of these practices that we're putting up, they're dead practices. They're not found in the scripture, right? For the first 3 centuries, what has become known to be called and widely accepted as the faith, what? Christianity, the celebration of Christmas was not celebrated at all until 336 AD. Now we're looking at 336 years after Yahshua's death. Now you start to see this Christmas thing kind of rear its head up. It was already kind of around with Saturnalia, but Christmas does something a little different because they mix the faith. They begin to mix customs with the pagans and the Romans during that time. This was Constantine, his smart self. Christmas was not celebrated at all until 336 AD. The so-called birth of Jesus Christ in December 25th coincides with the Greco-Roman calendar and was instituted by Constantine. All right, same stuff that was going on. It's going on right here. Same stuff. I got a brother right there. I got it. All right, continued history of the pagan traditions. Built. These are some of the. These are quotes from books. These are books are like way back. All right, built a splendid temple of the sun in Rome, Constantine, and set the sun's birthday celebration, Saturnalis Solis Invicti, in December 25th. This book it's in this book called Shocking Pagan Origins of Christmas. Also, there's another quote in 313. Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, which commanded official toleration of Christianity in other religions. Constantine's program was one of toleration only, and he continues to support both Christianity and paganism. All right? It's in that book called Conversions of Constantine. Constantine becomes a Christian. All right? The Queen Semiramis told the worshippers that when Tammuz, now we're going way back in Babylon, told the worshippers that when Tammuz was killed, a.k.a. Nimrod, some of his blood fell on a stump of an evergreen tree, and the stump grew into a full new green tree overnight. Wow. This made the evergreen tree sacred by the blood of Tammuz.
The blood has washed me.
Right. Now, Byron, you know, when you go through this and you look at the pattern, I'm saying it was a pattern, but you look at the kings, where they would come across the Torah and do right, and then they would remove the high place.
Yeah.
And then the next king would come along and say, well, okay, we're going to have the high place, then we're going to have the groves, and we're going to kind of forget this Torah thing. That when they came back to the Torah and left those, like you said, there's a set order. You can't mix anything with it. You know, we old enough to know Kool-Aid. Your parents tell you don't drink it. You can. There's only so much you can really drink and pour back water and dilute it to where it's slightly indistinguishable. But you go beyond that point, it don't even have the same color anymore. So we're going to try to mix and dilute Yah and think that it's going to work. And we have a historical track record where it didn't work, either voluntarily, as the kings did, or involuntarily when they were in these, when they were oppressed, and others told them, "Hey, this is your only option."
Right.
It's never going to work if we add something to it. It's not what he gave us. But regardless of how small we may think that addition is, it contaminates the whole.
That's the method of operation for Satan and his children. Even if you look at indigenous copper-colored Native Americans, the first thing that the U.S. government had to do when they began to want to take the land was to slaughter the men and the elders, the patriarchs. Yeah, that's right. When you look at Indian people today, what you see is an Indo-European Native American. Their forefathers are German immigrants, Polish immigrants. You go back 200, 300 years, indigenous copper-colored Choctaw, Apache, Iroquois, Lakota, Dakota were not what they look like today. Correct. And then they assimilated them into their schools, cut their hair, couldn't speak your language. So it's just, by the time you get to that Kool-Aid, that it looked like Kool-Aid, but it don't taste like Kool-Aid, the people's minds are so far gone, we just accept what we have, and then hence the awakening. Stripped.
Totally. If you understand, historical fact of the 4th century. So, this is during the Constantine reign. After the conversion of Constantine from mid-4th century on, we find Christianity deliberately adapting and Christianizing pagan festivals. So, this quote, you have to give an understanding on it that when Paul goes before Agrippa, he gives Agrippa the account of from the beginning all the way into where he is today. And his account was so profound that you hear this term come up that says that, Paul, you almost persuade me to be a Christian. I believe that word was inserted there, more like the Mashiach or Mashiachians, however you would say it. But what the faith was then is not what it is now.
Right.
So I can understand the quote that I use when we say Christianity, because you start dealing with Bruce and you say Christianity and you trying to use it as a way to connect what we believe now. Hold on, brother. Can't do that. But we can understand that Christianity in its beginning stages wasn't what it was today. It's totally different. All right. Many times I argue a lot of theological pastors on Facebook, and they're saying, Christian means Christ. It means Christ. I say, yeah, the construct of Christianity does not mean Christ. The construct is totally so far removed from the faith that it ain't even funny. All right. So the 4th century Christianity was dominated by Emperor Constantine the Great. In the First Council of Nicaea at 325 AD, which was the beginning of the first 7 Ecumenical Council of 325 all the way through 787, and in its late stage by the Edict of Thessalonica of 380, which made Nicene Christianity the first church state of the Roman Empire. Now you begin to see Christianity as a state religion.
Right.
Now it's morphing itself into something else. Because these people hated the customs of the Jews.
Come on.
They hated the feast days. They hated Sabbath. So when you see this thing being indoctrinated in as a means to go out through the world, it's not when people say, God went out to the whole world. No, it didn't. This went out to the whole world.
Right.
4th century church officials wanted to coincide festivals with pagan days as to influence pagans to accept Christianity as the empire's official religion. So now the pagans didn't want nothing to do with the faith. But when they began to change the custom to be more of something that, I can rock with that. Now, if y'all gonna do Christmas, I'm in. I'm a Christian. Count me in. All right? And that became the long narrative. Now you kind of understand what's going on in the 4th century. Present-day festivals of pagan tradition, even today, this is what's going on. Everybody know what this is right here? Well, the witches get together right here. Stonehenge, right? One of the famous celebrations during the winter solstice in the world today takes place at Stonehenge, England. Thousands of druids and pagans gather to chant, sing, and dance while waiting to the spectacular sunrise. Soli Victus, the unconquered sun. During Christmas time. All right, we know that during the winter solstice, the nights get longer. It's no more light outside. My boys at Riker House can't stand it. It's dark already. Yep, go inside. Let them go. All right, but during that time, they believed that the sun was dying. They would begin to offer sacrifices during that time. Sacrificing children, all kinds of stuff that were going on. And at the end of the winter solstice, what would happen? The sun would reappear. So they believed that those customs were working. And that became the celebration of Christmas. So they weren't offering gifts, they were offering children.
Blood.
All right, so you go down there and get them gifts and all that. Merry Christmas. That's what the whole drop back story is. Yes, sir.
In the Germans, they'll like hide brooms and stuff because their customs teach that Krampus goes around and wants to snatch up the kids.
Yeah.
So it's just it's there and it carries on, but then when you say, well, where is that in the scripture, you can't find it.
Yeah.
But all the ugliness of it, what actually happened, and then what their folklore says, okay, so now we got to safeguard the kids. Why? Because they were being awful.
A lot of times when we read the Bible, you won't have the stories of the other nations. Because the Bible is a record of who? The children of Israel. So that's the only history that's going to be in there. But when you begin to see how the other nations came in, what you can do now is begin to study the culture and the time of that nation. What were they doing? This is where you get to back up a lot of those things and how Israel was influenced. Because a lot of times you just see that Israel went away. What they went away into. Well, go study what those cultures who took them and what they did. You'll find out how we got where we are today and how these festivals and Sunday worship, how all that stuff came along. All right, we'll go back. The reason why I put these maps up because I just want to see I want you to see these places. Thrace, to see this is the Greek Empire. This is where the Greeks came in. They set up the Hellenists. The Hellenists are what? Are Israelites who speak Greek.
Right.
And they call them the Hellenists. People don't know that. So you read Paul's letters in the New Testament, and you get into the Greeks are the Hellenists, where he's talking about Israelites who are Gentiles. Because how they would determine if one was an Israelite, he had to be what? Circumcised. There's a certain way that our women adorn themselves that marked them. But when they learned the ways of the customs of the heathens, you couldn't even know if it was an Israelite because they began to look like the nations. And so many of the men, when they grew up in the Greek culture, did not circumcise their children. We know that when
Timothy.
In Timothy, right?
Yep.
You know, Paul's getting ready to go into the Feast of Purification. It's like that brother can't come in unless he's circumcised. That's how serious it was to worship among the Yahudim. They were very strict adherents to the law. All right? And so Paul was like, bruh, come on. Yeah, we'll cut him up. He's straight. Let me see. All right, come on in. You know? You think it's funny, but that's how serious it was. If you weren't circumcised, you couldn't come into camp. All right? What's your name? You ain't got no Hebrew, they can't come to camp. Not really. So you see all the places where the Greeks went out and set up shop. Jerusalem, they set up shop right there in Jerusalem, right there. And took over Egypt too. Yep. They named the city called Alexandria. I would go, it's a long time when I was in school, I would go look for Alexandria way up here in Europe. Where Alexandria at?
Egypt.
It's in Egypt, man. Them boys.
And by this time, when Greece is in rule of Egypt, Egypt is no longer in control of Hamitic people.
That's right.
It's a Hyksos nation that we're.
That's when you start seeing a lot of ancient movies. You see what the European Egyptians. Yep. You don't really see the melanated Egyptians anymore. You go see the Prince of Egypt movie, you ain't gonna find a brother in the movie. Nope. The last one they did was kind of close. And I was like, oh, yeah, I almost got him. All right. So then we look at Pentecost. I just want to throw this in there because this is why we get jokers in. It said Jews from out of every nation came to the feast of what? Pentecost. Yep. Mm-hmm. And where they coming from? The same places where the Greeks threw them at.
Exactly.
You go to Acts chapter 2, you see that.
Yep.
These Jews that were coming from all these nations were devout Jews. They kept the law, they kept the customs, yet they were living in Rome. They're living in Asia. They're living in the European places. They didn't come back into the city. The only people that came back to the city was the southern kingdom. They were zealous for the law. So it was Nehemiah go to the king like, man, come on, can I get my city back? Can you bless me? I want to go back and rebuild the temple. King gave him favor. They would go and do it. But the rest of the boys, we straight. We in America. Ain't nobody trying to go back to Africa, man. You crazy. I'm over here, man, in America. I got these Jordans on. I ain't going nowhere. I got a house. I got a flower pool. I got a retirement. What we talking about going back to Africa? I lost your mind, right? You know, sometimes back in my head, I be looking at certain shows. I be like, shoot, I don't think I want to go neither. Well, I'm just gonna wait for you to bring me back there. You know, I wanted to go to Ghana, and there was this. Anybody know Vice? Vice does a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And Vice had this story of some Nigerians. No, not Nigeria. Where was Marcus Garvey trying to take us back to?
Liberia.
They had a story of some young cats in Liberia, but they were eating people.
Cannibals.
Well, I say I'm straight. I'm staying right here in America. They just gonna have to wait for y'all. Shoot a crack the sky because they ain't gonna eat me. Not gonna let it happen.
He gonna clean that up first.
But you know, every time they show something in Africa, it just looks bad. Like, man, why would you want to go back? You know, but I got an elder that I met via Facebook, man. I don't know if y'all know Elder Cletus.
Yep.
Elder Cletus reached out to me one day. He saw my picture and said, man, you look just like me. And I said, no, this cat ain't talking about I look like him. And I went to his favorite pair and said, dang, I look like Elder Cletus. So Elder Cletus said, you know who you are? I was like, no. He said, you look like you from the Igbo tribe. I was like, wow. Might be. So my cousin did her DNA on her mom's side. And she came out Igbo. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, cool, we be Igbo. And then Rabbi Quete, we met him in Selma, Alabama, when we went to the feast of Passover. And I picked him up on a plane. I got him in the car. And we got to the hotel, he got out, he gets in the light, he looks at me, he said, yep, you Igbo. You from a royal house, my brother. Welcome. He gave me a hug. I was like, okay, that's 3 times. Everybody told me I'm Igbo. I guess I'm Igbo.
You know what is ironic is how they put that in the media so they look so bad. Because I was in Ghana. And there are plenty of non-melanated people with these businesses over there rolling, got hotels and everything, and they ain't worried about getting eaten. So they put that out there to keep us from wanting to go, and then they'll go and they'll live like royalty.
Yeah, but this is a side note, but Akon is really trying to get African Americans back. Akon about to build Wakanda for real. I don't know where he got the vibranium from, but he said he's going to do something. And it's funny because China, everybody over there now. God and Magog like, we're going to go over there too. We see prophecy kind of like unfold. If y'all understand about God and Magog, they going to deal, the kings of the east going to deal with America. Might want to get up out of there. I might have to go eat with my brother McKenna. I might have to get over. I want to be destroyed. Right? But we see that these same lands right here, Greek captivity, is where the Jews were coming in for the Feast of Pentecost. I want you to tie that picture. Always when you study, get the map. Get the map. A lot of times, you give Christians salvation for all nations, and I believe that. But when Yahshua came and when Paul went, Paul was going to finish the work of going to get who? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because he always says there's no difference between Jew and Greek. Why he didn't say Jew and Rome? Why he didn't say Jew and Egypt? Whatever these other nations were. He said Jew and Greek. When we look at who the Greeks were Jews who spoke Greek. They didn't have no Hebrew tongue.
I mean, look at us. We speak English.
That's right. Trying to learn Hebrew. I don't know, Shalom or Shalom. Yehoshua or Yahshua. Which one? We struggling. We're going to get there. All right? So that's just another map. Paul's missionary journeys. Where is he going to? Them same spots. Same spots where the Yahudim, the Israelites were scattered. He's going to these same spots. Corinth. You get to the 7 churches, where they at? Well, who these 7 churches filled with? Hate to tell y'all, they filled with the scattered. There were Gentiles that came in. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of Gentiles that were coming in. Remember when Moses came out of Egypt, a mixed multitude came out. So at Berean Council, salvation for all nations that want to hold to the covenant. Right? You can't come in and do what you want to do. We can't come in and do what we want to do. It's about what the Most High calls us. All right? And then Christianity at the early 4th century. These are the lands that became heavily Christianized under Constantine. Wow. All right, this is the fullness of it right here. These dark places, and then the strong Christian presence. This right here was a very hard presence of Christianity. This is a strong presence, significant presence, and then you kind of see how it began to grow and begin to spread. And when Constantine spreaded his religion, he ain't coming there with how they say the pilgrims came in.
No.
Constantine came in with a sword.
Get down and lay down.
That's right. We're gonna go back. Maccabees. I've been trying to find some pictures that got some brothers on there. I don't care, but I wanted to find some brothers. It was hard. I only found 2. That was it. But that just goes to show you that the nations painted the people to look like what? Them. So you really don't have any melanated people in the Bible stories today. When you look at any movie, anybody seen Noah? When who one man played Noah?
Russell Crowe.
Not a brother.
Nope.
You just don't see it. 10 Commandments. Love the 10 Commandments. Not a brother. Even the Egyptians were named melanated. All right. So I just tried to put that up there just to give then you got Judah Maccabees. So you got Mattanias was their father. He was a high priest of the tribe of Levi, and then he has 5 sons. These are their names. These were the brothers that slayed the high priest that was an Israelite trying to sacrifice pig on the altar. These boys was not having it. All right, that's Judah Maccabees. He became the leader of that whole movement, the revolt of the Maccabees. He became the leader. All right. So what we got to do now, we got to wage a good warfare today.
Right.
We cannot give in to the decrees, the family members, your moms, your dads, your brothers, all your loved ones. they're going to come at you. And that's why it's important for us to know what it is we believe, what we stand on, because your faith is going to be tested. I can kind of see people, not everybody know I'm a Hebrew Israelite now. I know it on my job, and sometimes when I walk at the police department, I can just, maybe it's just me, because I'm self-conscious of it. But it just seems like they be looking at me like, yeah, I know what. Hebrew Israelite. The Hebrew Israelites have said that we don't like white people. It is what it is. If you go type in Hebrew Israelite on Google, you already know. Go on YouTube. They're going to call it's rough. And I can see why if people don't do their study, if I say I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I can see the disdain they may have. All right, so it's important for us to have a word of season. All right, and to be able to give a word that can give clarity and understanding. All right, so after Antiochus issued his decrees forbidding Jewish religion practice and ruled Jewish priests from Modin, Mattathias sparked the revolt against the Seleucid Empire by refusing to worship the Greek gods. Mattathias killed a Hellenistic Jew who stepped forward to take Mattathias' place and sacrifice it to an idol, as well as the Greek officer who was sent to enforce the sacrifice. Afterwards, he and his 5 sons fled to the wilderness of Judah. After Mattathias' death, about 1 year later, in 166 BCE, his son Judah Maccabee led an army of Jewish descendants to victory over the Seleucid dynasty in guerrilla warfare, which at first was directed against the Hellenized Jews, of whom there were many. The Maccabees destroyed the Greek altars in the villages, circumcised boys, and forced Hellenized Jews into outlawry. Judah's nickname Maccabeus, now used in popular culture to describe the Jewish partisans as a whole, is taken from the Hebrew word for what? Wow. All right. That's where you get that whole, a lot of times you watch a lot of the stories and YouTube clips, they're called the Maccabeus the Hammer, but it's just, that was his name meant in Hebrew, hammer.
They actually have a basketball team in Israel.
Israel?
Yeah, called the Maccabees.
Wow. Good.
That's what mine started.
So that's kind of what was going on. I mean, can you imagine us taking up arms for the covenant?
Yes.
We really be a hate group then.
But hey,
And it's just words right now.
but you know what's crazy?
It's crazy.
If you notice, the warfare wasn't against Greek itself.
Against their brothers.
It was against their own
Their own
brothers.
people. Yeah.
Even today, what we fighting?
Our own brothers.
Our own people.
That's who gonna come. That's who comes against you now, and it's gonna be 10 times worse in the days to come because they're just so souped into the foolishness.
But you know what's funny? Like with Matthias, it wasn't even about them coming against him. It was about you leaving the covenant. He wasn't even mad.
Right.
He didn't come at me.
Right.
But you
Left
left the covenant.
Yeah.
State the covenant, yeah.
You
Right.
don't do that.
Right.
I got a trick.
That was where the passion was drawn from. Was that alone? Yeah.
I mean, this is why we got to blow the trumpet and sound the alarm. A lot of times, you can't really fight the camps. Camps doing their job. The camps are on the corner,
They doing their
and they
job.
are zealous about this thing. Even though they're like, how you said it like that? Or, Judah Maccabee killed the Joker.
Right.
We're talking about what he said. He walked up to the brother and just took the sword like, boom.
Right.
Today you'll call that he murdered. He murdered him. He killed him.
That was righteous judgment.
But in their eyes during that time, that was what it took. When you forsook the law, that's how zealous they were. And Paul was kind of like that. Paul was killing those who we felt was outside of the law. I think the Most High honors people like that. He willing to take a life for what I said. That's my boy. I know we can't wrap our mind around that because we've been domesticated. we know.
But think about what you said earlier. I mean, you quoted scripture. He takes joy in us enjoying the benefits of this covenant, the blessing. But he's going to take joy in our destruction if we decide to cross him. So, in his eyes, like, you're a lost cause anyway. Unless you're going to be in this covenant, which your forefathers said, okay, we want it. They had a choice between death and life. And he gave them a hint. Choose life.
I'm bringing it in, so y'all, I know it's a lot of information. Just remember, it is the Sabbath. 4 days in regard. Okay. So now we want to shift to, what does this mean to us? Like, what is it when you look at what that story kind of foretells and what righteous men were willing to do? Go back and really read it. I'm gonna read that to my kids all this week as we commemorate feast dedication for 8 days. We're going to be doing something special every night. I got some things and some chores for y'all to do. when we finish. What if you do every night with your family to commemorate the feast. All right, but now we want to talk about that the Most High doesn't dwell in temples made with hands. He said, but he dwells in each and every one of us. So you are what? A spiritual house. And there's some things that we probably need to rededicate. There's some things that we need to take a self-inventory about so that we can be more prepared to do his will. So we want to talk about what? Restoring the due order. It kind of ties in with last Shabbat's message. We talked about the tabernacle of Moses. And we want to shift to the tabernacle of David. All right? So the 8-day feast commemorated David. I just kind of tried to find some David coming in, bringing the ark. You get it. You know what I'm saying? David was one of them guys who do what we've come to do now on this side of history, when we dance before the Most High, and we play music, and we got instruments. We know David said 24 hours of praise and worship before the ark. And when somebody got tired, the next group came in. When somebody got tired, the next group came in. They just offered up the sacrifices of praises. That's how that whole story comes. We bring the sacrifice of praise into the house. That's where it all comes from. All right? So Second Maccabees, that they kept 8 days with gladness, as in the feast of tabernacles. I remember that when when their daddy killed the dude, the Hellenized Jew, they fled in the wilderness. And they lived in the mountains. And when the appointed time for tabernacles came, they could not keep it. Why? Because they was in warfare. They was in war. They couldn't do it. And in the story, when some of the armies, of the Greek armies, found them in their lands where they were hiding, they began to try and fight Judah Maccabees in their group. And you know what they did? They sat right there and let these guys kill them. They didn't raise a sword. Why? Because during the feast, or during the Sabbath, you couldn't what? Couldn't work, you couldn't do nothing. So they sat gladly, didn't pick up arms, they just got killed for the covenant.
That was some of the captains.
Some of the, not all of them, some of them.
Right. Judas, he said,
No. Right.
You come up on me on Sabbath?
Yeah. Right.
But once they saw that once they saw how the nation was so just evil, then it was like, well, man, if they find us every Sabbath, we out of gas.
Right.
So Judas believed this, so we got to get it. We got to get it, right? Sometimes, I got a dog, and she may do something in the house on the Sabbath. I gotta clean it up, won't do it. So one of the challenges that we try to do in our house is on Friday, we try and get the whole house in order. It never happens. But I try all week, come Wednesday, I'm trying to wash clothes. And when I turn around, I got 4 kids. It's like, I thought I washed them. So I can imagine. I can't even imagine how many times I gotta wash clothes. What's the clothes being like? I don't even know. But we're doing everything we can to wipe down and wash and clean and get everything. Trying to get my wife to kind of prepare some meal that we can eat the next day and put it in the microwave. I'm kind of like, I'm on teetering on that. I sometimes be like, man, we gonna cook on this. I do not want no food. Burn that pot. You feel like you're working, babe? I don't feel like I'm working. This is not work. This is not work. I'm not sweating. The oven is But we see how for 8 days they kept it as the Feast of Tabernacles. All right, when as they wandered in the mountains and dens like beasts, therefore they bare branches and fair boughs and palms also, and sang psalms unto him that had given them good success in cleansing his place. They ordained also by a common statute and decree that every year those days should be kept of a whole nation of the Jews. All right, then we get into Yahshua, I think in John chapter, Mark. He goes into the temple for the Feast of Dedication, while they were celebrating. Yahshua was there, for the Feast of Dedication. All right. So Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. We got to cleanse and dedicate our own selves. All right. Take inventory throughout these next, 8 days and just really, change some things. Whatever it is you need to do. Cleanse your temple. All right. Upon this also, a host assembled themselves together and went up to Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate and the altar profaned and the gates burnt up and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest or in one of the mountains, they, the priest's chambers, pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentation. and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. Guys were zealous, man. They really loved the covenant that the Most High had given them. They were willing to do whatever it took, and they wept and they cried. But, a lot of times, like I said, my transformation into this was one of weeping and just crying. Just about, man, how we missed that? How we got so far? Most High, why'd you do this to it? Why, and you keep reading. It's like you sold yourself into sin.
And this is why they don't want the tribes to wake up and find out who you really are. Right. Because this level of obedience unto the covenant is it threatens everything that this system is set up, man. It's dangerous, man.
The covenant people's come up is the nation's judgment.
Man.
They can keep us in this narrative of doing this, then things will continue.
Right.
And so, but yet, the scripture says that all the creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons.
Yes.
Everybody's waiting. They don't realize it.
Right.
But it's going to be an everlasting peace that's going to come into the earth when we recognize who we are. So many people, it ain't about you. It ain't about color. It's about a covenant. It's about prophecy. Prophecy got to be fulfilled. So we can hasten it by uniting our people.
Hallelujah.
It's not about keeping people out, but it's about gathering the tribes.
Come on.
Fishing. He said, I send fishermen that will fish for my people.
Yes.
This is what we're doing now. Wherever we are, all those small assemblies, our Sabbath gatherings are calling people, like you looking and searching, and then the Most High is gathering the eagles back. He's gathering us to that place.
Yes.
So we're excited.
Wow.
Excited about it.
Hallelujah.
All right, First Maccabees also says, keep reading, it says, and he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleanse the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stones into the unclean place. Remember, even if the stones had been touched with defiled blood, they had to get rid of them stones too. Get rid of them. That had to be tough. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down and laid up stones in the mountain of the temple in the convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with it. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary, and things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels. And in the temple they brought the candlestick, and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense, and the table of showbread. And upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, and that there might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set up loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which had begun to make. So they kind of reset the temple up as it was when Solomon had built it. However, the altar had been profaned. They didn't know what to do because they didn't have Levitical priesthood around that could teach them how to set that up. That's how important it was. You see, remember when y'all told Moses in the mountain, he said, make sure y'all, when y'all do this thing, you do it after the order that was shown.
Right.
That's why I support even today when we approach the Most High, we have to approach Him in the order that He's commanded us to.
Amen.
Any other way, you're not going to get the results you want.
That's right.
And you'll become weary in your process of, like, man, religion don't work because you're not after the new order.
Come on.
I mean, you look, we got doctors now, ear, nose, and throat doctors,
Uh-huh.
which tells you they all connected. But I don't know a person in this room is trying to get food in their stomach through their ear or their nose. Now, you put up your nose, a good chance you can kind of do the little thing and get it in your mouth, but why? When there's a way that's already prepared.
Right.
And it's like he said, do it this way.
That's right. Yep. He's already provided. He's already provided. All right. Things last week before we finish. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called month of Testament, in the 148th year, there rose up bedtimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and cisterns and harps and cymbals. Then all the people fell upon their faces worshiping and praising the Most High of Heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrifice of deliverance and praise. But these were not sacrifices of like sin. They offered sacrifices for deliverance and to give praise unto the Most High, right? They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brother with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days. From the 5 and 20th day of the month Chislev with myrrh and gladness. See, they did put some other things in there that's not necessarily recorded, but they begin to deck the house and to make it glorious and beautiful. If you understand anything about gold and jewels and anything, when light hits it, what happens? It just shines, it radiates. So that's what the temple looked like when you walked in and you saw all this stuff laid out in the temple. When they begin to let the light shine on it, it began to just be glorious. So that's why they also kind of commemorated as the Feast of what? Lights.
Yep.
All right. Right, so this is the last slide. Not alone. Appreciate y'all patience. All right, hope y'all enjoyed it a little bit. All right, and so prepare me to be a sanctuary. All right, it's a song I always sing. We sing it at my mom's house. We get my dad on the piano. My mom get in, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. You know that song? We used to go through that song. That song, even as a kid, you start crying. It hit home, you know what I'm saying? We're going to sing it a little bit. We'll sing it. Right? But I don't know why I was crying. I don't know. It's a prayer. That's the Holy Ghost. You got it now. All right? But what can we do to commemorate this day? What can we do? For 8 days, this is what I'm going to challenge us to do. It's not a challenge. It could be fun. My kids love feast dedication. They don't like atonement and trumpet because you really can't eat. You can't eat. Time of wailing. Go to your room and cry. Anything they got to do with feasting, they go, you there. They the feast dedicated. We'll be in Passover. This dedication. This ain't even a point feast. Worried about dedication. All right. But this is something that we do in our home. All right.
She said no.
For the first day, and what I did was I took all the furniture and I made it a day. So there was 7 pieces of furniture, and I tried to spread these 7 out in 8 days. One of the 8 furniture pieces, which is really not, but I call it the mercy seat. I made that a piece of the furniture because the Most High would come down and He would make us a bowl at the mercy seat. Right? I put that down on the 8th day. Right? On the first day, you got the altar. What do? In our home, we clean our house entirely, confess our sins during a family time of prayer. So the first day. So tonight, we'll light the house up with candles. I'll pop in my keyboard home tonight. We'll just be confessing our sins and just cleaning the house out. Make sure the clothes iron. Make sure that everything put in. So I got my mother-in-law with me, so we got work to do. Keep the peace. We're in my house. My mother, she cool, man. I've been sitting down and be showing her things. She be like, wow, they don't even teach this. No, they don't teach it. Now you with me, you gonna be all right. Get in the gate. Now you all right, the second day, you have the labor. All right, labor speaks of washing and baptism. You rid the house of broken and useless things. So usually, I don't necessarily get into gift giving, but what I tell my kids, I said, if you got any toy that's broke, anything in your room that don't work and is broke, get rid of it. And I'm gonna replace it. So my son, he's going there and break a toy. Broke. You know what I'm saying? That joker right there, leave that. He's playing with the broke breaking drums. I need new drums. Nah, that drum set is not broke. All right, but that's what we can do now. We can make sure our house is in order. Something about when your house clean, man, the kids act well, they might be all right. My kids still won't tear up the house. I don't know what it. They be upstairs running. I'm surprised my neighbors ain't came and said, your kids was bad. But my kids, they fun. All right, third day, we got the candlestick. We light the entire house and windows with candles of light. I like to let people know, because most people, when they see us getting together on Saturday, when I wake up coming out my house, people be looking at me like, what is he doing? So I've been out there for 3 years. So sometimes they'll see me come out on Sunday. Back then, before I really made Shabbat a ongoing thing, they see me out on Sunday. They can probably see, oh, he's going to church. He's going to church. Right? Cool. They see me walk out now. I got on my garment. See my kids walk in. I got the ZZ song. Just be kind of like, how you doing? All right. Shabbat shalom. You know, so what I try and do, I try to be intentional without being intrusive. So what I do is like I do certain things in my house. So like for Passover, I had a red, one of the red, they call them Christmas lights. That's what it is. They like, that's what I know, man. Good lights. And I took the red light, they were all red, and I put it around the whole door for Passover.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and so when I turned the light on, my whole front door lit up red. What's that? What does that mean? I said the blood. What to think, you know what I'm saying? But it gives you an opportunity, what, to share. I love wearing my ZZs. And what does that mean? I had your ass. Gotcha. I'm gonna get it. You asked me, so I'm gonna hold you down. You know? So what we do, we light the entire house with windows, with candles, with light, interior only. Won't put them outside the door. You put them outside the door now, boy, they're going to see you and say, Merry Christmas. That's what they're going to tell you. Symbolic as the spirit of truth, which is the light, which is to light the inside of our hearts. Right? So we decorate our house. And everything we do in our house, or whatever we do inside our home, it's a reflection of what should be getting done in us. Allowing the word and the light to be on the inside and renew us and change us. We're changed by the word, right? Fourth day was table of showbread. We baked bread from scratch. One day my wife they were baking all kind of stuff in the kitchen. I was eating up some, all kind of dip. I didn't know what kind of dip, but what kind of dip that is? That's a good dip right there. We bake bread from scratch, unleavened, and dip it what? In oil. And eat it. And have some wine. Kids, you got to get punch or something. Juice. Also wash each other's feet and pray over one another. Read the word as devotion, as a family. Read 1st and 2nd Maccabees excerpts. So that's what we're going to do on the 4th day. Feel free to join us wherever you are. All right, on the 5th day, the altar of incense with light-scented candles and fragrance oils throughout the house. Time of prayer and intercession for the family and friends and y'all's presence to be revealed globally. So I'll probably invite some friends over, pray over them. All right, on the 6th day, Ark of the Covenant will anoint the entire family and pray y'all's ruach over their lives of each family member. Time of singing, songs, and dancing. My kids love to dance. I got a big screen TV and I got surround sound. They put on a little music. My daughter don't know what she can dance. She can go. My sons can go a little bit. I've been trying to figure out the little things they can do all the African dance. I used to dance. When I came up, I was doing camera guy, but when I came up, the type of music we did was Tootsie Roll. That's what I did. That's what I came up with. I said, can I go to the high school dance? What you going to high school dance for? All my friends going to be there, I was doing Friday Night Live, so we had service on Fridays. My dad said, you asked your mama? Mama said, ask you. All right, what time you going to be back? I don't know why he let me go. I go. As soon as I get that, Tom was right there. He was right there with me. We all in California. Go to church on Friday. Turn up on Saturday. All right. On the 7th day, we got the Ark of the Covenant. On the 7th day, we did the Ark of the Covenant on the 6th day. But on the 7th day, what was in the Ark of the Covenant? We had Aaron's rod. We had the pot of manna. We had the 2 tablets that were inside the Ark of the Covenant. So on the 7th day, we have a feast meal, invite family over, and bless them with the Aaronite blessing. Everybody know what the Aaronite blessing is? May the Lord keep you, may the Lord bless you, may the Lord cause his face shine upon you, may the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Come. All right? On the 8th day, the mercy seat will assemble up the families and have a night of what? Praise and worship. So, on the next, we'll probably try, and if Jason and his wife allow us, I'm going to put y'all on the spot. We want to convene at you all's place. All right, bring some speakers, light the sky up with some candles or whatever. Y'all got the bonfire, all that stuff y'all got. Y'all put me on the spot. Y'all go ahead and set it up, and we'll come out there and bring the music and the drums and just have some time to praise and worship. All right, I know some of y'all think like, we didn't talk about that. Everybody's welcome. Ain't that right, Judy? Everybody's welcome. Say it.
Everybody's welcome. Y'all come have fun.
They get lonely out in the woods, man. We like when y'all.
I got a beautiful spot, man. I got a beautiful spot. All right. So, thus concludes my presentation. I know it was long, but I think one of the things I try to tell my wife, like, a lot of times, once my kids do the Shabbat and we go home, they think it's over. They get on the computer, like, they get on that computer. Let's settle down. Get your book, read, write your Hebrew, write your letters. You know your letters? They know it too. I left bed. Okay, wait. So, we're going to shift. Before, I guess I can bring Aunt Meadows and his wife up.
Yes.
I'm gonna come from the cuff now. All right, but they wanted to renew their vows. My big brother was supposed to talk to me. He was supposed to excerpt in on this one, but he left me hanging. Big Reggie. He had something come up. So I've been knowing marriage is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
All right. Both sides. That was the first institution. My father was that's the first church. The first church was marriage. Husband and wife. The first institution. And so we know right now that marriage in our time is on an all attack. Marriage is a covenant vow that has no weight anymore. The moment tough times go and you have financial issues and there could be some infidelity. You know, that happens. The easiest thing for us to do sometimes when we incur those challenges is we jump ship. We break the covenant. And you might be able to go on, but the Most High will require you. He says better not to make a vow than to make one and break it. All right? And so, you know, I was talking to my wife about my friend that came and I said, my best friend. My wife said, they ain't your best friend. She said, I'm your best friend. So your wife should be what? Your best friend. She should be, or your husband. There should be no secrets, you know, between you and your loved one. And darkest secrets she should be open to. Because she's your helpmeet and she's going to strengthen you or he's going to strengthen you. And so we just want to sort of renew the covenant and just shine light on something that you've already been doing. And just to kind of just confess your love and your fidelity to one another. I know I told Aunt Meadows you got to have some words for the queen now. You know, you got to come from your heart, you know. And so, you know, let us all stand with Christ. I want to pray over them.
Yes.
All right. Matter of fact, out there, put your hand on the Meadows and Aish. My wife, come on up too. Since I'm doing it, I guess you have to be right there. Marriage is a beautiful thing, and we need strong marriages in our time. We need husbands to take their rightful place as a priest. We need our women to take their rightful place as rearing up the home. It's funny because in the Deuteronomy, when the Most High gives Moses the commandment, Moses gathers all the elders and he tells those elders to commission the heads of houses. A lot of times the rabbi taught us is that we thought the heads of houses were what? Men. But the heads of houses really are the women. They make sure that the house is secure and they do everything. I go out to work, my wife is taking care of the kids. I come home, the food is cooked. Get up, breakfast. If there's anything I do when I'm sick, she's taking care of me. I like being sick. That's what our wives do. They don't go hard for you. There were times I've had to endure some challenges in my family or it was church, and you know my wife be ready to fight me. Yes. You can't fight my dad. Wife goes hard, you know what I'm saying? And we appreciate our wives. And I'm pretty sure that you have been a strength to your husband. You've been a beacon of light. You've been his hope, his joy, you've been his sorrow, whatever it is. You've been there for him. And so you have a beautiful wife. One thing I can say about you, I don't know you per se, like I know I'm going to at some point. When you come into this truth and you all come. And one thing I can say about you that you are you're a humble soul, but you are a faithful You're like a faithful tree. You bear fruit. You know, and you're a man of few words, but when you speak, it carries much weight. It carries significant value. And we need people like that in your weight, and people that you can depend on. You're reliable. You know, you and your wife, you always are. You're kind. You never carry your burden. We don't see it. Although I know you probably care, we never see your burden. You always come, and even in your moment of need, you're always giving. I always talk about the challenges of your business and whatnot. Every time you come, you're laying arms at the table. Like, you don't need that arms. Like, you're going to be blessed. So you're a man of faith. You're standing on the promises of his word, and you're going to be blessed. You're going to be blessed. Don't get weary in well doing. You'll reap if you faint not. You know, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount with wings of eagles. They shall run, not get weary. They shall walk and not faint. I just want to encourage you as a couple to continue to hold up the standard. Don't get weary. Be like that tree planted by the rivers of water. You're bringing forth fruit, and the fruit that you're going to bring forth is going to remain. You're laying out a foundation for generations to come. The people that you come in contact with, they won't be the same. They won't be the same. You made a tough decision in this transition. But you're just like Abraham. He's going to take you into that land of promise. He's going to take you to that wealthy place. Just stay the course. Stay the course. In the name of Yahushua. All right, let's bow our heads. We stretch our hands toward the marriage couple. We'll allow, after that, we'll allow you to share a few words with your wife. The Queen, you share a few words. Eternal Father, we thank you for this day. This is the day that you have made, and we are rejoicing, we are glad, and we are excited for the occasion to be able to renew and to restore and to commemorate your love and your faithfulness to your people. Yeah. We stand here in humility. We stand here in awe. Despite our challenges, despite what we have been through as a people, we are rejoicing. We are glad that you have not forsaken us. You have not forgotten us. But you are remembering your covenant that you made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you are faithful to bring us into the place of wealth. And we just decree and we declare over this beautiful couple your mercies. We decree and we declare over this marriage your favor and your strength. And your unfailing word will bring forth a bountiful blessing upon them. That you will strengthen Carlton as the priest of his home. And that you will make his path straight. You will make his feet to become hinds feet. That he will run over a troop. And that whatever he sets his hands on, Lord, you will give him the fullness of his destiny. That he will lay hold to the eternal promises. That you are not slack concerning your promises, but you are faithful. You are faithful and you are true. We pray that his love will be unfailing like yours is. You are forever enduring. You never fail. You never make a mistake. Let these virtues be true of us as husbands. Let us render benevolence to our wives. Let us learn how to nurture them and to cultivate them into the woman that you've called them to be. They are our helpmeets. And we will love them as our own flesh. We will give ourselves. He will continuously pour into his wife the things that you bestowed upon him with meekness and in fear and all reverence. We say to the woman, Ms. Meadows, that she will continue to offer herself unto him and as the dew in the morning. That she will continue to offer herself unto him as the honey on the honeycomb. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We just speak that the favor and that their body and their soul will prosper, that they'll be in good health, yes. And that no weapon formed against them shall prosper, and every tongue that rises up against them, we condemn it right now. Yeah. We declare your glory, we declare your anointing over their home. We come against every attack, anything that may lay wait, the fiery dart, the arrows that come by night. Lord, you will hide them in your pavilion. Hallelujah. You will hide them in the secret place of the Most High. They will abide under your shadows. We ask all these prayers in the name of your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach. We shout hallelujah. 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 I want you to turn to your queen.
I don't have a queen.
Get ready for the salute there. And so I want Carlton to just, from his heart, just kind of renew his faithfulness in words that he would love to convey.
There's nobody else. And I just thank you for enduring ups and downs. Get myself to you.
Hallelujah.
Right? So, as they would say, the power that's invested. I pronounce the again.
Yeah.
Wife. Any of y'all wanna say?
She had concerns. I guess I'm kind of loose cannon. I'm not like Darius, but it's a long way. And the balance that we found here, that you have here, is what allowed her to lower her guard and say, okay, he ain't crazy.
Praise God.
He ain't lost.
Praise God.
And, it's been a journey, but it's been a positive journey. So even, like Jeff would say, I'm tired of people coming down here and giving their testimonies. Y'all gonna pray for me. I would come with a prayer request, and the Most High would answer. And so we look forward to coming, because understand that it's an appointed place and an appointed time. The pool of Bethesda, right here in Gainesville. So whatever his intentions are, we'll be here until he changes the vehicle. But we're just grateful, not only that I got to come, but that she came along, and we do this as a family. So come what may, we have each other, Yah and Berean.
I tell you this, man, I don't boast about what Most High brought us to. We're just vessels. We don't make no qualms about you couldn't real, we the ones. Nah, it's not even like that. We just vessels, and we just want to be used. And we know that there's a mantle on everyone that the Most High sends us. And so we don't take what your presence lightly. It's precious. You all come way from Tampa, and when you come ready to work and just offer yourselves as an offering. So we appreciate you. We love you. We'll continue to support you any way that we can. Any visitor is here, we will support you any way that we can. Call on us, and we'll be there. Your family, my family, we love you. You on the winning side. We got the most side.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. We'll clap it up. Hallelujah. That concludes our Shabbat gathering today. We thank you all for coming. We're blessed because you came. We just declare blessings over you as you leave and you travel, and mercies be on you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Now, what we're going to do now, those that want to go, you can go. My wife wants to do a little dance. Moray Williams and Josh Cullens came up with it. Okay. All right? They call it the rebirth slide. So you got the rededication and you got the revival and renewal. So we're going to do a rebirth slide a little bit. I don't know where Kylie is, but
right here.
Kylie and my wife will probably lead the charge. I'm trying to figure out if you go left or right, but I'm going to figure it out right now. So we're going to do what they did in the feast dedication. They rejoiced with dancing and singing and gladness. And so it's all right for us to come together in assembly and just have a good time. So just free yourself up. We ain't at the club. We among the righteous. All right? We're going to have a good time. All right? Hallelujah.